Welcome, I'm Bill Wake. We're here working on a new project. It's called Betwist, and it's a word game. I'm a little inspired by sort of like Boggle trademark, but with some twists to it. So let's see what we got. All right, well, I don't know if you've played that sort of game before, but they give you a grid of letters, and your job is to bounce around neighboring letters and find a word. So we'll start with the A in that light blue in the upper left corner, and then go down diagonally to N, and then to I, M, A, and then the purple L is the last letter we typed or tapped. And the idea is you would click on the A, tap on each letter to the end, and then tap twice on that L. So, once for A, N, I, M, A, L, L on that same letter. Okay, now if you as long as you're touching a neighboring cell, we're extending the last word or the ongoing word. If you touch a letter you've already got, so let's say I touch the N diagonal from that first A, then I'm going to go down back to just having AN. I'll lose the IMAL. Okay, and if you tap out of range, so not a neighbor, then you're going to abandon this word and start another. So, I guess it's not a neighbor of the tail or is it the head or the tail? I guess it's the head. The L here, if I hit U, S, D, O, I, or T, I'm touching a neighbor and I'm going to extend this word. If I click on the E in the upper right corner, then it's a new word starting with an E. So, and also, I don't know if I said, probably if you tap on the first letter, if you tap back to the A and then tap again, I would say you're kind of clearing it out. Or, well, you're kind of making a guess, but we won't let you make one-letter guesses. All right. Let's see. So in this game, in the normal game that you play, you're bounded on the sides. But what I want to do is think about this thing being on a ball. And so the top, ASCDE, and the bottom, ODOIE, they're wrapped around the ball. So they touch. And then same thing on the right and left, they wrap around. And so in effect, you've got this kind of a 3D sort of thing going. I don't know. I guess you'd call it 3D. But you can reach around, you can wrap around. And so if I look in the bottom right corner, there's CITE. All right, cite, like citing a book in a bibliography. But if I take E and I wrap the ODOIE row up to the top, you'll see D is its neighbor. So I can get CITED, cited. All right. And so I'm not sure how I want to interpret my assumption so far is we're going to do these things I'm calling twists. And so I'm going to say we could do a twist so that ODOIE goes up to the top, or maybe a twist so ASCDE goes to the bottom. Either one of those would be fine. Same thing on the right. We can't grab something out of the middle, but we can move the rightmost or leftmost column or the top or bottom row. All right, now there are other moves that don't change the meaning of letters relative to each other. These don't even have anything to do with the wrapping or the twisting. One is you could take the whole board and spin it left or right, clockwise or counterclockwise. Another is you could mirror. So I could take ASCDE, that's the top row, I make that the bottom row, then unmocks the second row or the fourth row, OIA, UAI, the third row, stays the third row, RSLTC goes up, so they're kind of, it's as if I have the board on something and I can kind of spin it. And I can do that right or left as well. You can also mirror diagonally. So the E in the upper right corner and the O swap places. Same thing with DX versus RD and so on. Or the other diagonal. Okay. Now, I don't have a mechanism in mind. I'd like it to be easy, but, and I don't quite have in my head, I'm not clear how I'm going to make these other moves. I think the wrapping, that's the thing that makes this searching different. All the spinning and all that stuff is just sort of like lets you get a different perspective on the word. And maybe if it were swapped around, you would see a word you don't see otherwise. And I don't know if you should have separate buttons for each of those actions, or maybe we just pick a random transformation, either spin or mirror, and do that, and then let you control the twists. I think you need to control the twists. And I also kind of think you don't really have to. So I could do CITE, and then I look and say, oh, the D's up top. I don't have to rotate the system. I just click the D, and it's treated as a neighbor. Okay, I think that would be something. And maybe that's a starting point, kind of a minimal version, right, that doesn't let you manipulate the board, but lets you do the moves that you could do if you did. Even so, conceptually, there's wrapping this thing onto a globe. In reality, we'll just pretend you know how it connects, and it's fine. You know, I and D are neighbors, and so on. So I'm a little fuzzy in details here. We'll see, but I think you can allow the wrapping without requiring the actual wrapping to occur. You know, okay. Now I've also thought about alternatives, and one of them was I would take the pattern. So ASEDE, you can see I've just been treating it like a big rubber stamp and just stamping, multiple copies. And if I weren't going to cover up my text, I would put another one on the left, so there were 2x3 or something, or maybe it's 3x4, or, maybe it's infinite. And if you flick the thing, it just kind of keeps spinning around and coming in with new ones. They're potentially visually different or intellectually feel different, but they all work out to the same model. Okay. Another alternative I had was make an infinite grid. So don't restrict yourself to this one copy, this one 5x5 board that you're going to repeat. Just build out an infinite grid. And if you swipe left, right, up, down to change it, it just spins along and you end up in some new place with new letters and all that stuff. And I think I could, we could treat very, very large coordinate system, I guess, and like take your XY coordinates and run them through some random generator that we can use to generate what's the letter for these coordinates, and get a full board that way. Or another alternative, and this does change the shape of the problem, is make a hex grid. So instead of everybody having, what do they have? I guess they have 8 neighbors now. We could make a hex grid and maybe they only have 6 neighbors. I guess that'd be a little harder. And then while I was looking around in the icon list, I found a bunch of things that look like they might be helpful to kind of indicate various sorts of transformations. So, and notice the one on the bottom there, arrow dot up dot left dot and dot down dot right, and arrow up, right, and down left. So it's crisscrossed arrows. All right. And then I went out and found a dictionary. There are a bunch out there for just various word lists of different kinds. I picked one that allows for plurals and ing forms. So I think in real use, that will be handy. I mean, I think, it's good to have some easy stuff. All right. Now I played Boggle with people that they don't count 3-letter words and they don't count plurals. It's just something they're very good at it. They let me count 3-letter words and they still wipe me off the map. So, it's who's playing. But anyway, this is a nice big old dictionary. It's just a bunch of words, and we'll use that. All right, and then there's some challenge to say what's the letter frequency, and different people have different measurements they've made. And I don't have the depth to know which one matters for which purpose. But this one was from a site that was doing cryptologic or cryptanalysis, I guess you'd say, trying to understand the relative frequencies in English so they could kind of like map into the encrypted stuff and see if they see any patterns. But, they came up with E, the most common letter, then A, then R, then I. Okay. It's okay. The nice thing about this one is they give you the relative frequency. So E is 57 times as much as Q, which is the nominal one. And J is not much bigger than Q. Okay, so, that gives you something. There's other ones, I forget what these did analysis of. Like there's some that are based on analysis of a dictionary, and they've taken every word in the dictionary, including the definitions. And there are others that do the dictionary, but they only take the word that's being defined. Okay, which kind of is a better frequency thing for us. But, and with this, okay, E is the most common, then T. Now, the typesetting one is Ada Oin Shrewdloo, so that got used in robot stuff and, kind of names in the, I guess, probably 70s, 80s, maybe. But the types letter, that comes from the typesetters. I think I have one more. No. Well, anyway, this gives you another list of what frequencies are. And this one, notice Z is twice as much and J is even bigger. Okay, so on that first one, J and Q were both down on the bottom. Now, this also gave me some digraphs, which are 2-letter or trigraph 3-letter things. And I had considered putting in, I thought of putting in QU, and then I realized, Boggle does that already. And also TH. I kind of felt like you have such a big space bar. Maybe we should have a little TH bar there or something. If you're typing that thing 50 times out of every 2,000 letters, I don't know. All right. But I think I'm not going to worry about digraphs for this. I've done variations of either Boggle or Scrabble, trademark whoever's, where I put in extra tiles that either have the digraphs or a star tile that you can use for wild carded, like in Boggle, a star on a die and so on. You can imagine other things. All right, this is another digraph chart. TH is still on top. Notice that QU doesn't even make the list. It's so rare. Okay, but that's the way it goes. And then I've also got the letter distributions from Scrabble, according to Wikipedia. And notice E is still the most common. Everybody kind of agrees on that. A is, I would say these numbers are a little higher relative to what you would expect to find. But maybe that just reflects that not every word has, 16 E's in it or anything. But they come out somewhat similar-ish. EAIONRLTLS, ETOAINS, HRL. It's plausibly reasonable. So I don't know. I'll take some stab, and it probably won't be the exact distributions. All right, Boggle has a little twist that's kind of interesting. Each you're rolling dice with 6 letters on them, and so there are combinations. Well, okay, like QU and Z are not on the same die, so you could spell quiz conceivably, because even though there's an I in HIM and UQU on the bottom there are other I's sprinkled around, and so you get to them. But it does mean there are limitations on words that you don't necessarily have quite the same way in the others. But that's okay. All right, and so that's my logo. I'm trying to get the word Betwist in there and a couple letters you don't need, and since, I'll just make them A and Z and they'll be light. All right. Now, I set up a new project, and then I updated Xcode today, so I don't quite know the state of things. Let's see. But introduce the game idea. Well, we just did. Okay. Do I have... Okay, I do. All right. Well, I put in assets. All I've got is the app icon. If we run it, I don't even know. Oh, my iPad, that's not going to help. Oh. Huh, now it told me it loaded 18. Okay, let's just put it on an iPhone for now. Let's take this one, since I know I have that. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If you saw it, it's you. You have a little board full of dice. You shake it until they're all mixed up, and then and when they settle down, you've got words or letters to look at. Okay. What's going on? Well, you can wait all you want. I don't have it on. I'm not sure it's even charged. Let's run the iPhone. All right, and then we'll have to get over and figure out why. Well, let's set this thing up for iOS 18. Well, hopefully I don't have to look at that stuff. This should be. I did pull in Swift Lint. iOS. Okay, there's 17.5. Oh, I could set it to default. Well, it's going to take a moment here. And, well, another thing with Boggle is you've got a timer, and I'm not planning to necessarily do that. I have in mind more that you would kind of pop this open while you're standing in line somewhere and zip out a couple of words and eventually get a new board. Now, is there a way I can just say, I want this to be that? It should be, I don't know, did I put the icon on or maybe it's Hello World? I didn't do a lot. Okay. Oh, there it is. Oh, where are you running? Okay, so yeah, this is pretty much out of the box, create an app, and you're done. All right, yeah, let's try getting this thing. Okay, now let's. So you think I can just? Well, I'll just select that, I guess. Differences. Enable testability, yes. Okay, I do want that. I guess I don't need it in release. No. Validate build product. I guess I can live with that. Betwist preview content, iOS 18. Strip debug symbols during copy. Well, I don't know if that's right or wrong. Targeted families, iPhone, iPad, okay. Oh, that's different than this. Okay, orientations. Yeah, I'll take whatever that kind of defaults to. Release optimized. Okay, I think we're getting out of the ones I've ever changed. Okay, well, let's close this one and try for another one. Now, I don't know if he'll come up with 18 or not. Well, I've been away for a week, so I just popped in today and it's like, oh, you got to upgrade Xcode. So I think I probably need to upgrade my iPad too, because it wasn't running 18 when I left. I hope it can take it. Yeah. Maybe that's not out yet. Okay. Where are you? Okay, coming up iOS 18. That's good. Yeah, I probably should have worked that out before we got going here, but well, let's keep this over there. Okay. So I think the easiest place to start is maybe well, I mean, I guess I'm already thinking of model objects. There's got to be something that knows what's the word I'm entering. And maybe there's something that knows what word did I just last accept and what words have I accepted, and then something to represent the grid, the game itself, the board, we could call it, even though I guess board would work. And then we certainly need to draw those things. I don't know, maybe we don't need too much UI to get going on some of this. All right. So, well, if you, I guess one thing is, like, how should it be? Oh, hey, Q coding. I didn't notice it was you. John, good to see you here. Thanks. So I don't know. I'm tempted to start in the back end, and more in the domain objects and let it emerge from that a little bit. But it wouldn't be that hard to, well, maybe we'll just create, maybe we'll do a little bit of each, just to kind of keep things moving. Okay, still waiting on that. Empty DSIM file, there's no debug info. Well, that's probably something I've chosen poorly. Dwarf with the empty DSIM file with executable with no debug info. Did I turn off the debugger somewhere? Enable testability. Strip debug symbols during copy. Well, if that's the default, then I guess I'll take that. But that doesn't sound like debugging is on or off. Enable testability, no. I don't know why they don't do that. Okay. Well, we'll hold off. Okay, I'm not going to sweat that one. All right, but yeah, there we go. We've got our Hello World in iOS 18. My first iOS 18 app. Okay, this is to do Keynote and upgrade to iOS 18. Make sure committing works. Okay, now we should have Swift testing by default, so I don't really need this anymore. Compiling for iOS 17. Oh, I didn't. I guess I don't start enough projects. Okay, dwarf with DSIM, enable testability, yes. Huh. Well, I don't know. We'll see. I think at some point we're going to do some iOS 18 stuff on here, and it's going to say, okay. Well, that has a deployment target. Why doesn't this one? Oh, there it is. Okay. Let's run. I guess we're just looking at the build on this. Okay, I'm going to delete this file. And we're going to add a new file. I guess that's a little different options. I'll have to get used to this. And we have John's Swift testing test. All right. So what's a... Yeah. I guess where do I want to start? One thing is, I guess there's got to be a grid, right? The board you're working on comes before you can select anything on it. I don't know that there's a lot of behavior there, but it's got letters in it somehow, and well, we're gonna have to create one with a size and with letters in it. Okay, so we'll just start with board, and I've been using oh gosh, I'm forgetting whose it is. It's not James Grinning. Brett Schucher's. Somebody's naming convention. It'll come back to me. Naming tests. So the test name kind of sets the context, a board, and then we could have a little verb phrase that does something and maybe win something. All right, it's going in Betwist test. That's good. And would I like to configure a bridging header? I don't think I need it. Adding a file to Betwist test will create a mixed Swift target. Yeah, I don't think we'll need it. Okay, but let's see what happens. Already I know it's better because I got the diamond, so I can run individual tests. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like my naming style has been relatively sloppy on tests. I like short names for the most part. And I feel like if they're clear what they're doing, then I'm okay with a very short name because I want the test to be fairly short too, and it's it's reasonable enough. Okay, so we got some stuff. Attributes should be on their own line. Okay, so that's part of the Swift lint configuration. Whoops, let's try Control I. And it suggests we do this, so we'll do that. Issue recorded because we said record an issue, and this is what you do when you're just starting out. No, I don't particularly feel the need to name these. I don't know. I bounce around too much probably, but what I've been doing lately is what do you call snake case, where you put the underscores between the words on the test names. Kotlin has this nice thing where you can make variable names that are like, check that board does something, whatever. And you put in these backticks and it knows that that's a variable name, even though it's got spaces in it. We don't have that. There was a proposal I saw for Swift to get it, but the really only reason they had for it was to let you name a test name, whatever you wanted. But yeah, so snake case is my compromise on that. So I don't bother with this attribute, although you could put it there, but I feel like, why do I have to put the name twice? So I tend not to do that. Although it is going to be a little more readable for somebody. Okay. All right, now what does it mean to create a board? I don't I don't know yet. I mean, there's a board should have a size, and I think I'm going to call it the order. Yeah, I wish we had that for this. The order, sort of like the matrix has an order, like how many by how many, maybe grid order, maybe just order. I don't know. Size is ambiguous to me because I want it to be n squared. So let's see. A board has n squared items. Maybe that's, yeah. I'm gonna say knows its size. Okay, so we'll let board equal board of size 4 on a side, and then expect. I think I have to parenthesize these, right? Size, order, I don't know. Oh, cool, thanks. Yeah, we get great service when John's with us. All right, expect that to equal 4, I guess. And this is my sort of stumbling around in the beginning, often happens, but I'm pretty confident there's some sort of board. We're talking about manipulating it, and we're talking about doing things with it. So I think that's reasonable. It gets us something. It gets us the board created. Okay, so we can't build because we don't have a board, and I'm going to start this sort of TDD like you mean it style. We'll just put the class right here for now and grow it a little bit before we take the trouble to extract it out. Okay, and so, well, I guess we can say let size of int. Is that enough to run? Oh, no, I don't. Do I want to say size? No, I guess not. Okay, we got problems. Init size of int. I think I could get it to write that for me. All right. Not stripping binary because it is signed. I don't know what that indicates. And this update to recommended settings, I don't know. I'll leave that one for a minute because it seems like it's broken us before. Okay, so was something about signing. Maybe I need to read documentation somewhere. Is that, what was that error again? Not stripping binary because it is signed. Okay. So I guess my debug stuff doesn't need to be stripped. Wherever that comes in. Enable strip debug during copy. Yes. Not stripping because it is signed. Alright, we'll say no. Oh. I could probably choose, right? Strip debug symbols during copy. Well, it apparently doesn't like that. See if we can get rid of those warnings. Okay, good. And our test passes. I guess that was a little too easy. Okay. And I could have, I guess, I could have not implemented my constructor and let this thing fail, but all right. Well, now I think, we're going to make this thing have dimensions. I ought to be able to ask what's at a certain cell. Um, hmm. Knows its contents? I don't know. Um, and I also kind of strip these when I'm not trying to say that this thing is async or throws. Okay, well, I think we'll create a board, and I don't know, can I say board sub 00 equals, I kind of am just saying it's consistent without saying I know what it is. Now, these are all legal. Size is going to limit the number of. It's going to limit the size of the board itself. I don't think it matters to us. If well, the way I'm anticipating doing it is to provide the rotation operators to let you, move rows or columns from the top or bottom. But if I were doing the one where it maps onto a globe, which might be really interesting, it would still be order for wrapped around the globe. You would have some you would see and some you wouldn't. So this represents the underlying grid, not any sort of visible grid. Okay, board needs a subscript, and I think I can do two-dimensional subscripts with this. Okay, and I don't know, there's a trick for doing this, but if you do column and row, is that the way it works? You don't get confused. My classic confusion is I've got things, I do X, Y, and I know X comes before Y, and X goes across, and Y goes up and down. But if you put it in row column order, then row is the Y and column's the X. But if you put them in column row order, they're the same as X, Y. So I think I'm going to do it that way. I don't know. Other people probably have other tricks, but I get burned by that all the time when I'm doing these things, and and I can stare and stare and stare and not realize, like, oh wait, that's the X, not the Y. Okay. And this should return, I guess, a string. All right, and let's return, let's return A, B, I don't know. I'm just trying to get something that's going to fail. Random element. Bang. Okay. Now why are you still complaining? All right, but let's run these again. Oh, you're not going to let me do it? It's not, honest. It's not always true that I know what I'm doing. But in this case, I think I do. Okay, good. So I got different values from the same thing because I just returned random stuff. How horrible is that? All right. And I don't want to commit. I don't even think it's the linter. I think it's expect that's enforcing that, because it's macro based. I think they probably are explicitly checking. Are you doing the same value? Let me take the parens out and let's just see if we can tell if it's Swift lint or the other. But I think it's expect. Oh no. Oh, I still have that error. Oh no, it's Swift lint. Yeah. Yeah, maybe I will. I don't think it's a mistake I make as a mistake really much. There's not very many times when I'm doing it. I don't know. Maybe I need a better setup. All right, but let's make this pass at some level. Let's just look up that subcolumn, and I think that should. Oh, we'll run it the other way. Okay. Now I don't know why this is not clearing. That's good old Xcode. Okay, I may do something about that at some point. But he's board sub 0 0 is A, board sub 0. Wait. Oh, he's still running. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's take that rule out. I don't know. I kind of settle on my lint thing and prefer not to change it too much. Okay, I'll leave that as that. Okay. Well, let's rebuild and make sure the error goes away. Okay, good. Now this, let's try turning off or throwing away these. Oh, he's still running. Not that fast. Okay, clear issues. And one more run. Yeah, I mean, it's not much, CPU time, but that was 5 or 6 seconds. Yeah, I probably could store it as a string, but I think I'll just leave that rule off. If we get burnt by it 3 times, I'll turn it back on, but I think that will take a while. All right, I think I have something minimal. It's returning a string. I could probably draw it at this point, even though boring as it would be. I don't really care for this test too much, but it's because I have no control over what's in the board. Well, I haven't done anything to either. I don't know how I'm going to say systematically, because my intent long run is to generate random stuff, but I haven't done anything that controls that either. So I think that mechanism is kind of missing. I don't know is it in our way yet. Well, I don't know the answer. Let's work another test. Okay, the next test is Well, I want to do something if you're accessing things out of range. And I don't know, should I just do this? I mean, I could make it an exception, but it really is kind of an internal error. And in a way, that's the harmless answer if they go outside. But maybe I'd be better off just blowing up if they go outside, because I shouldn't let them. So I'm going to skip that test. I don't think I have a good way to trap. Yeah, I mean, it's checking that you can access that value. Yeah, I mean, I think all it's proving is there's a thing in there. It doesn't even really prove it's a string, does it? I don't know. I think in the long run, this is going to take some sort of argument. Okay, yeah. If I can't test the crashes, then because I think I want the crashes because we're going to be indexing outside. Like if you rotate, we'll probably need to address like index it with modulo or something. And if you don't do it that way, and you actually try to get the 5 instead of taking it mod 4, I think we would prefer to just blow up because that's just way off. All right, but that test will belong in there once we're doing it. Oh, maybe that's the test. Yeah, that's the test. Wraps out of bound indices. Okay, so 0, 4 should be illegal, but it should equal 0, 0. And 7, 3 should be the same as 3, 3. So I'm testing both column and row. I'm so used to saying row column. Okay, so this should work. I mean, you could imagine filling this thing with all A's and then it doesn't work. But I think this is, well, it works. It would work regardless of whether it worked or not, I guess. All right, but I think this will blow up. That's progress. Okay, good. It blew up. All right, so let's take column mod size. All right, now okay. Let's see if we pass before I get too crazy here. Okay. Right. So the next one I want to do is negative, and I'm pretty sure Swift has the wrong handling for this. Okay, so if you have 0, well, let's take 0, 0, and if you did -1, I guess 2, 3, -4. And this is this -1? No, that can't be right. I want to test 2 different dimensions. Okay, so board 0, 0 is the same as board 0 -4. So -4 is -1, 2, 3, 4. So it should be wrapped back around. And same thing here. If I take away 4 from the first one and get -1, I should get that. Okay. Now I think I vaguely remember looking up percent and trying to interpret it. Yeah. Okay. I think percent maybe does the sign of the divisor one or something. I don't know. But all right. Let's let well, wrapped column maybe. And we're not using rows yet, so that's still flaky or too simple. Well, I guess I want to say okay, gotta get the test passing. Var wrapped column equals column. Wow. Don't type for a week and look what happens. Okay, worse than average. That should be fine. Oh, I'm still in debug mode. I don't really care. Don't need that. Okay, so if it's negative, we have to get it positive before we can rely on percent. Okay, so I'm going to say while wrapped column less than 0, wrapped column plus equals size. Okay, so that should keep moving up, up, up until it wraps around. -3 wraps around to, I'm sorry, -4 will wrap, +4 is going to be 0. So that gets us to our 0. All right, and then let's work with wrapped column percent size. So if I were back in the 1970s doing assertions on code, right, this would say at this point I don't know the sign of it, but when I get here I know the sign is positive. Missing return, oh yeah. Okay, so this should do that. Yeah, so okay, I think that's good, interesting behavior for us, and kind of useful. Now, I guess the real thing to me now is like we don't have a two-dimensional array, so that's kind of bad. Let's fix that first. And then we'll deal with how do you actually load this thing. How would you enforce this on a simple array? Sorry, I missed the. Oh yeah. If we overload subscript, we can make it act like that. And yeah, it's probably a useful little trick at some point. And also, this is, well, it's gonna grow. Okay, let's refactor this into existence from what we have, and then well, I have this image of kind of a shadow puppet. I don't know if you ever, you make the rabbit or whatever. Okay, and the shape you see on the wall is just the little rabbit head, but the shape in 3D, in front of it is this, but you're getting a projection, kind of mathematically we call it a projection, but it's, it's like the light projecting onto a wall and making a shadow picture. As long as I maintain the value of the projection, that's what the tests are doing. They're examining this thing on the wall. And they don't care, I don't know if I can physically do it. Well, they don't care if I use my right hand or my left hand. It's like, oh, I see 2 ears and a head. Okay. I'm going to, yes. Am I going to use a multidimensional array or a single and add the size? I haven't decided. What would be easier? I think a multidimensional array might be fine. We're going to populate it once and leave it while this board object exists. If we need a new populated, a new game, we're going to populate a new board, I think. Yeah, if I'm going to rotate it, it'll be easier with two-dimensional. That's definitely true. Okay, yeah, I like your argument better. Okay, so I'm going to keep the projection the same. I'm going to start making this. Let's get a board to exist. Board is going to be array of string. Okay, and now we have an obligation to build the board. Board equals. All right, now let's move this up. Okay, so I'm kind of doing piecemeal, but we have this board. It's one-dimensional now, but we're going to grow it in a second. All right, but this should still pass. We've just moved a constant up to the constructor, basically. Okay. Now, okay, so, I don't know, this requires a little coordination to get it two-dimensional. All right, but let's do that. Sub-0. Oops. Okay, so I'm turning it into a 2D array. I'm always only grabbing the one row. This is now array of string. Okay. And my test should still pass. As far as they're concerned, they don't really care how things get populated as long as they're consistent. Oops. Sorry, it's just looking forward to how many times this week am I going to screw up the order of the columns and the rows, even trying to do this. Okay, so they pass again. All right, so yeah. But what I want to do, okay, I'm going to fill this thing out some more. Now, this is obviously not a good game board, but that's not what we're trying to do yet. Okay, so this, and I'm going to give it 4 rows, and I'll make them different, I guess. We'll just get as far as we get in the alphabet. Well, actually, maybe I don't care that much. Okay, that should still pass. Okay. And it passes because we don't really have a basis to say what's in that cell. We just know it should be consistent. And the indices should wrap and all that stuff. Okay, so now this is where I'm making a move, and I'm not sure I'm making the right one. Okay, so in a 2D array, I guess we need to grab the column. No, we're grabbing the row first. Okay, I'm going to switch it back. Hopefully we won't have to do any XYs, and I'll just be able to be row columns. Okay, so I'm going to say this is the row, is the ABCD, the first one there, that's a row. And it should come out ABCD on the screen. Okay, so the row, well, I'm going to make a wrapped row as well. And then we'll do some refactoring because we're getting... Okay, but I'm doing this all kind of behind the scenes. And this is... it's kind of a fake it till you make it sort of thing. You know, you can't tell. I'm making it more and more sophisticated inside, but you can't tell from the outside. And I think that's I don't know. I don't always do this very much, so it's a little funny maybe, but I think it lets us change that structure that we didn't really care about anyway. I mean, I think the tests have the right idea. They should look at the board X, row column. I'm changing the interpretation, but they're looking row column, and what do I get if I ask for this row in this column, and does it wrap and everything else? Okay, so do the test pass. Oops. Gosh, how many times you make trivial stuff? Okay, they do. So we kept our shadow the same. We made a major-ish for the size we are now. Major is change in the size of the data structure, or the style of the data structure. We went from a random value in a single-dimensional array to a indexed value in a one-dimensional array to an indexed value in a two-dimensional array. Okay, now we still don't know what these cells are, and that's a weakness, but I think this is far enough that I'm going to commit this. So we created board, knowing its size and accessing through wrapped indices. Okay, John, sorry you're feeling sick. Okay, we'll pick up your update at some point today. But nice to have you here for a few minutes. Okay, we'll stage these, commit and push. Okay. Yeah, I guess we changed the row. Okay, so let's refactor some. So I think we've done enough on board that it's worth pulling it out into its own file. New board.swift from clipboard. I love it. I don't need that junk, but I love it. Thank you. Xcode. I'm already happier with it. Okay. This should all build. And since we're creating a file, I'll just check in with that. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is okay. And then well, the real duplication I see here is it's almost, let me make this its own operation. So let's say wrapped row equals wrapped row. Can I say percent equals? Percent equals size. Is that legit? Oh, nice. Okay. And then we'll do, oh, wait for it to pass. For you judge, percent equals size, and then do that change down here. Now I'm curious, let's see, let's extract method. Are you trying? Refactor. Oh, I can't do it. Why not? Wrapped row depends on row and size. All right, I'll take the method for now. Let's say function wrap, and it takes a, well, I'll say row and then I'll generalize. Row's an int, size is an int, returns an int, no, yeah, returns an int, index. Return wrapped row. Okay, and I should be able to call that with, well, let's rename this to number. Wrapped, I don't, maybe it's index. And this is wrapped index. And then can I inline? Do you guys do that yet? No. Okay. I'm going to return wrapped index percent size. Well, test shouldn't care because I'm not calling it, but let's call it. Let wrapped row equal wrap of row and size. Okay, and then same for wrapped column. And I think my eye will tolerate this inside it. Okay, and so what we've done mostly is extract a wrap method. Now really, like when you look at this thing, it's not anything to do with board, right? It takes two ints and turns them into an int. It's really an int operator. And I'm hoping we can define it as like %, maybe. Do I remember how to do operator? Are you going to suggest it for me? No. % with this stuff. Parend is not allowed. Wait. I don't know where that last parend came from. Oh, do I have to do this? I'll look in a minute. Okay. Oh, is it static func? Is that? I really don't think that was done that way before. Well, wasn't there an operator keyword involved? Okay, static func. I guess it should have that precedence. But I don't remember doing this. Prefix operator. I mean, percent has got multiplication precedence, so I assume we'd want that too, but I feel like this was done. Wow. Should match the operator symbol. Okay. It looks like this space is not really needed. Okay. Yeah, you can use multiple arguments. Okay, I guess they want this even here. Static function, not free function. Well, okay, I'm going to put this on int anyway. Okay. Without matching operator declaration. Okay, let's move this up. I just don't remember it being this hard. I think we've done it before. Operators should be surrounded by a single white space when defining them. Declared as static functions. Okay, I think I've done both those things. Okay, that's happier. We're not using it yet, but we will. All right, now this is indexed, wrapped by size. I'm going to get rid of it in a moment. Okay, now I'm going to do it down here. Row size, column wrapped by size. And no one's calling wrap. Okay. Let's pull this out into int plus wrap. Well, haha. New file from clipboard. Int plus wrap. Okay. I think we're getting there. Okay, let's create wrap operator that. Okay. Now, this is the last bit that's clearly artificial and wrong. I guess I'm not sure what the right way to get this filled in. Okay, so that's kind of an interesting one. Like, I could give it a stream of random letters. That might be nice. And then for this board, he just goes through row by row and fills in all the columns. Right, so I guess I'm giving a function that, given row and column, tells me what letter to put there. And I suppose it should take a size to start with. Okay, so this is sort of is it a board maker, board filler? But I want to be able to give a source to this thing. I want to give it, what do I want? Yeah, it's really, yeah, it's generator. But I think what I want to have is, I want a function that takes row, column, and produces a string. Yeah, so generator takes size by size. I think I don't know if I'm overthinking, but what I have in mind is that I'm going to pass in some function. If you give me the row and column of 0 to size -1 in each case, I will give you back the letter that should be at that square, or that's in that cell. Unnamed parameters must be written. Well, I don't. Oh, yeah, this function itself. Okay, yeah. Now, if you had that, I guess I'm wondering. Yeah. I mean, we really do kind of want. Well, I could either see something that's just like a generator of random letters, and you just grab the next one, grab the next one. In a functional language, it would be an infinite structure, and in this one, it's not. So it could be a stream of strings. Alternatively, what I think I'm suggesting is we have a function that if you give it a pair of coordinates, it always tells you what string is at that coordinate. Now, I don't know what's better. And this is obviously getting a little complicated. Now, if it's I forget, how do you do streams? I don't think you can do this, can you? Is that legal? Yeah, import foundation. I don't think it's going to help. Cannot specialize non-generic string. Okay, yeah, I want to make my own stream type. That might not be too hard. And then it's Board's job to keep track of it, which seems like that's probably a good job for Board. All right, so Swift custom stream. This is all confusing. I don't know how to get away from that kind of stream. I'm not even getting... Async stream. Here's stream. Okay. Hopefully they'll have an example. No, that's not what I want. Sequence. I guess he's not in Foundation. Protocol sequence. Yeah, I mean, you can say in. That's good enough. Right. But I'd like to be able to substitute this. That's why I'm hesitating here. This is a sequence of element. Okay, I think I can be that. Yeah, that's more what I want. My source is a sequence of string. Is that allowed? Sequence of string must be written as any sequence of string. Okay. All right, I think I need to get a test to get this thing in position. A board. Okay. Well, it's kind of early in the life cycle, so test. Oops. Well, that's nice. Okay, I mean, it's giving me a Swift testing template. A board fills from a sequence. Now, how do I get... Is an array a sequence? I think he is. Let's just make it a small board. goodness. Why he's confused, I don't know, but... Okay, extra argument. Okay. Yes, I know. Stop. Okay. Let's make this small too. Oh, Brent. Thank you. Okay. Why are you not happy? Use of local variable board is declared before... I think he's just confused. Okay, so I want to say board sub... (0,0) is A. So I'm let's say fills row by row from a sequence. Okay. And I'm just going to check that all four are what I expect. I don't know why that's not indented better. 0, 0, 0, 1. Column is 1, so this should be B. And then 1, 0 should be C. And 1, 1, D. Okay. Oh, I guess I did the same thing. Now, I think this is almost irrelevant. You have to have as many as you say you're going to need. I almost want to let these go for a minute here. Alright, let's just let big board equal. Can I do that? Can I do a split? Should be able to split this. Max splits. Returns the longest sequence. I don't think I need the count, like the n squared count. I don't think I need. because I think that's sort of implicitly unchanged based on the size. I mean, you certainly can. Inside there, you could count it that way. Splits, max splits, omitting indices sequences, bool. Where separator? Okay, so I think I'm saying dollar. I think I'm just saying true. Cannot convert the value of sequence to expected. Okay. Convert it to a string? No, that's not what I want. Oh, you think I can just do an array? Build succeeded. Array of substring. Okay, let me try a map. All right, I think he likes that one. Okay. Okay, so this should fail. The new test should fail. Well, not just because he doesn't like my formatting. Yeah, okay, so what happened? Board 10 equals E. Oh, okay, so it's going to the hard-coded board, which has an E in the second row in the first two cells, E and F. Okay, so that's good. All right, well, we're due for a break. Yeah, I think we did the same sort of thing somewhere on the way. Let's take a break, then we'll come back and make this test pass by filling in the array in board from the sequence it's given. All right, see you in 3 or 4 minutes. Welcome back, and welcome, Kay Vikendi. I'm not sure how I would say it, but you're welcome. We're making a game. It's sort of like Boggle, where you have a bunch of letters, or Scrabble. You have a bunch of letters in a grid, and you're trying to find words that fit by moving from letter to letter and so on. And we've created a very minimal board. Right now, it's just got these hard-coded cells, and we're trying to get it to accept a sequence of strings and populate the board from that. I think we just have to do the job. And it's the only test that's failing. A single space inside each. Oh, yeah. Okay. So we just need to pick up this from here, from this sequence. Okay, and if you give it the wrong number of stuff, it's going to blow up, and I think that's just like, if it hurts, don't do that. I think in general we're going to be, I don't think it's going to be an issue. Oh, do you guys know each other? All right, so let's go implement that. Okay, so let's start. Let's give this let's get this board initialized. And we're trying to keep it as a set of rows with a set of columns. I'm not sure the easiest way to do that. Well, I guess we can... let's take a row up to size, up to but not including size. And we'll say board.append empty. Is that going to work? Well, let's make a new one and assign it at the end. Okay. Board.append self.board the grid. And well, I guess we really want to make a row. Okay, so new row dot append. Oh, and how do you get the next one? Yeah, we're doing this as a Swift app, and we'll run it on a iPhone simulator. But I don't. It could go on an iPad or an iPhone or anything really. I'm sure there's probably an easy way to do this that I'm just not seeing. I know there is. What do they call that? There's a package for this. Swift algorithms. They just updated it too. Huh. Okay, I have to. JKLNR, welcome. Okay, I'm trying to find a good way to initialize an array into chunks of stuff. Evenly chunked of count 2. Okay, I think this is gonna do it. Oh no, how do I get the package? Okay, we gotta find our package.swift. Do we have one? Swift arrays, in effect, they are immutable, but the compiler does a lot of stuff to make it look like they are, to sort of efficiently work with them, even though they're immutable. So even though if you pass an array as an argument, it looks like you're going to copy a whole array in, it detects that it's not being changed and it doesn't do the copy. It just gives a pointer to it, stuff like that. We're not really a Swift PM. I don't even think I have to do it that way. I think I can just come in here, can't I? Packages. Resolve. Oh, come on. I do this. Add package dependencies. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully not. I guess it's the compiler's business. Yeah, and maybe send it over the internet just to be sure, you know. Okay. Okay, so we got Swift algorithms. All right, so we should be able to import algorithms. Oh no. Dependency. Is that in here? Swift algorithms. Oh, jeez. Okay, so somewhere I should be able to say... There it is. Algorithms. Okay. That should make that happier. And I may switch to an array? I don't know. Source dot. Chunks of count. think that might do it. Assign value chunks of collection of array type strings. Ugh. Take an array here. Betwist is going to be a game, so it's sort of like Boggle, that you have a grid of letters and you're going to try and spell a word by working with neighbors. The twist part comes in that I'm going to let you rotate. I'm going to pretend that B is connected to T, so I could, well, if W-E-T, okay, yeah, let's do S-T, and then wrap around over here. E is diagonally to T over here, so I could spell S-T-E-W. Yeah, kind of, well, I don't know if you call it a board game, but a grid game of some sort, yeah. Yeah. Okay, still doesn't like my array stuff. Oh. Do I care? Yeah, I want it to be as if it were wrapped on a torus, or, well, I was thinking more of a globe. but yeah, torus-like. I have played Scrabble that way sometimes, and Boggle. Not worrying about it. And Scrabble, we had a rule you couldn't get both doubles if they were like the one here and the one here, or triples, in the same word. But okay. It shouldn't be this hard to do this. I guess the problem is these chunks, they look like an array. Yeah, so he's saying equivalent to. Yeah, sort of like that, but it's not really. Now, do I have to... Chunking a collection by subject. I guess I'm going to look at chunking and see what it's got. Breaks a collection into chunks. I suppose it's that. Do I care? Does he have a subscript? He does. Okay. So he's a chunked by collection? Chunks of count collection? Hey. I don't know if it's... If I do this, it affects me inside. I don't think it affects anybody outside. And I can rewrite this as array of string. Is that gonna work? Cannot convert value into expected argument type array of string. Huh. So board is a chunks collection. I thought the index. He has a subscript. Oh, chunked on collection, but this is a chunks of count collection. It's getting more complicated than I want. Does not implicitly confer laziness on algorithms. Okay, fine. he has a subscript. It returns an element. What's the matter? Cannot convert value of type int to expected argument type. Oh, I guess that's... no. Chunks of count array of string.index. Now, I feel like I'm fighting this too hard. Okay. Let's go back to being an array of string. It's too bad. Okay. Well, we talked about working rows and columns. Yeah, I think I'm going to just treat them as their index. Yeah, it didn't seem to let me index into it. I mean, it has a subscript, base subrange, but he's got his own ideas about these things being ranges. Yeah. It seems like I should just be able to do this. Let's take 0 ... less than size map to string map each one to an empty string. Is that going to be enough to get this thing started? Okay, so that should give me right, yeah. Okay, so for each row I should get a empty string array. Okay, so I should have an array of the right stuff. Okay, let's make sure grid is double array. Okay. Am I going to do columns? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should work harder on it, but maybe I should just see if somebody has an example. Yeah. Oh, maybe that's all I gotta do. Okay, I'll go back. Way back. Sorry. It seems so trivial. Alright, so he just did map the chunked thing to array of init. Parens. Yeah. S could be done. I type array of string has no member chunks. Well, this is... Oh, import algorithms. What's Claude? I don't think I know it. Okay, well that wasn't so hard once you know what to look for. Thanks for pushing me. Okay, so we got stuff. Now our test should pass. Oh, okay. Okay, well that's not working then. That's some weird stuff. Well, let's just pause the debugger at that test. Or I guess in the constructor. And we can run one test again. That's so nice. I don't know what this stuff is. Okay, let's look at source. Okay. This should be a list of strings. Good. Okay. Size is 2. Oh, he's a thing. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's the values that I expect. Alright, let's step out. So I don't know what this means. Fill rows by something from a sequence. Okay, that's sort of okay. It's like he didn't compile or something. Can I step? Yeah. Okay, board looks right. Okay, let's... Maybe the other tests aren't are the problem. Oh, good call. Okay, let's try one of these big board tests. Make sure big board looks okay. Huh. Well, that's not a good sign. No, it's not. Okay, well, big board was lying around there. Okay, Okay. All right, so I think the thing we just did seems okay. This thing is a different problem. I think it's me interpreting split wrong. I don't want this character one. Yeah, split's more of a word thing, it looks like. Okay, let's do it that way. Okay. Continue. Okay, good. Sorry. Sometimes it's like that. All right, so what we did was we made board take a sequence of strings and distribute them into the grid. Yeah, we're basically doing TDD for this part. I don't tend to do TDD on the UI stuff too much, but wanted to get this piece going. Okay. And I mean, that constructor is fine. I guess the next piece I want, kind of just sticking with the model side, is we have these rules for how do you click. Let's see back here. Yeah, so you're gonna have an empty selection. Now we're gonna have to do something to keep track of what's a legal neighbor, and we don't have that concept yet. Okay, but if you tap an open board like A for the first letter, and then you tap a neighbor, then we're making a longer and longer word. Okay. And if you tap something you've already tapped, you go back to it. So if I had animal all spelled out and I hit the N, it would go back to AN. And if I want to go to a different word, I can just tap something that's clearly not a neighbor, like not one of these surrounding the last letter. And tap twice to make a guess. Well, I think the thing that keeps track of the selection has to do some stuff. Now, I think he's going to need to know. I guess he's going to need to know the location of the letter being tapped and the stuff that's already tapped, right? So, because there's two separate A's on the board, right? So if we just stored an A here, we wouldn't know whether, like, how would we know whether this N is next to it or not? We'd have to find it. Okay, so, and this thing seems like a sequence of things to me, right? As you build up left to right, you're building up all these possible things. Okay, so this is a pretty complicated object in a way. I mean, it's got 6 or 8 rules here to track to. Yeah, so in this game we allow wrapping. So how did I get there? I may have not got a legal one. CO. Yeah, maybe Cody isn't. I'd have to get to an O. I can get to this O. Oh yeah. I can get to this O, I can get this A, but I can't get to the T. Yeah, I'm not sure it is. I don't think they do, because our rotation, the coordinate, how would that be? I guess we have to distinguish the original coordinate from the rotated coordinate. Right? Now, I don't know if that means everybody's got to know their own cell location. Is it only visual? I think yes. I mean, in the sense that, like I said, you could do earlier, I said you could do CITED, and it would be legal because this is, well, row 4. Let's see, row 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, column 4 is next to row 0, column 3. So, I don't know. Yeah, well, I don't know if that's just in the UI. Like, do we care? Oh, I see. I think I see what you mean. Yeah, they're going to have their own index. They probably need an off. Like they'll need something to tell them where 0, 0 really is at this point. You know, like if they've rotated and stuff, and this L is really the top left corner, I think probably somebody has to store, 3, 2, 0, 1, 2, somewhere, so that we know to start there or offset from there before we start showing stuff. Because I want the rotation to be a visually visible thing, but I don't want to require you to rotate it to reach to something around the corner. Okay. Yeah, keep the coordinates in the tag maybe. Okay. But I think in the selection, I think we want to know where are you in the original unrotated grid. Like, where are you? Because I can ask if this coordinate is next to that coordinate by that. So I think, and I think there's enough going on, like this tap a letter to start. If there's nothing there, and verify that something's a neighbor. Making the guess is not part of the selection to me, but tapping earlier letter to unwind or tapping out of range. I think this piece of tap twice, that's sort of the end result. And it's kind of a different thing. Yeah, I don't know. At some point I should switch over to the front end. I think for now we'll just do kind of a minimal version of this selection thing, and then start with the front end tomorrow. But my anticipation is we pass in a grid like this and a starting point, and the starting point changes whenever you do a rotation. So if I rotated this, let's take ASEDE. If I put that on the bottom, then my new starting point for my grid is going to be this U. And then, so I should start from row 1 and do all the columns, and then down here get to that last row. So let me just poke a little ways on selection, because you kind of have to have, you could just let them click anything and it's clicked and they decide themselves if it's selected, but I think we need to have a selection to know what to highlight and stuff like that. So I think we need at least a minimal one. All right. So we're going to start with that. And it may be I should drive from UI for this, but I don't think it's, I don't know. We'll see. Whoops. I didn't upgrade John's thing yet, but I'll do that. I'll do that offline. That's something I could do tonight. A file form template. Okay, gotta get used to this. Is this a guess, or I think it's a selection at this point. Okay, so, oops. Taking out some of the stuff I don't really need. Okay, so a routine should be able to return the indices that are neighboring the last selected one. Yeah, that could be useful. Okay, let's get it created first. So a selection starts empty. That, and then expect selection dot count is 0. Okay, and again, this yeah, I definitely think we'll be using that operator again. Okay, so there's sort of this TDD like you mean it thing where you can start in the same file even just because you got so little there. It's hardly worth fighting. Let count equal 1. Okay. So we're just doing a minimal thing to compile, and this test should fail. I mean, we don't really have to work that low of a failure level, but we can see this here. That's good. And the test should fail. Okay, and it does. And I think, I'm gonna make a I'm gonna say it has a guess implied. Empty string. Okay, so these are both Okay, fine. Okay, they fail. Fine. All right, let's just take the easy, quick. So I've got the structure and just this minimal test. We've got the initial conditions right. I'll let it pass. Okay. Test. Okay, so okay, good enough time. It's going to do what it needs to do. Right, coherent test. Yeah, I mean, I think especially when the object is so tiny like this, it's not in the context of a UI driven test. But I feel like, I mean, I think the amount of work to do the UI, like I could imagine a UI that's nice and swift and pretty, and I can imagine just a bare bones, almost like character graphics UI or something like that. And I kind of want to think between those two, what do they both want? And so I'm kind of coming from that perspective. I mean, we have a set of rules, and like first letter to start, seems like a good thing to test. I mean, because we have a set of rules in mind, we're going to have at least a test for each rule. Okay. So a selection can start new word, and then I guess what this is. Somebody's going to give us a coordinate and a letter. Now, it's a little ambiguous to me. Do I need to consult the board for it? I guess I want to make that somebody else's problem. I just want this thing to track positions and that. Yeah, sometimes it's just throw it away and start over. Usually I kind of replace things and kind of work them towards something, like playing with Play-Doh or something. But all right, so we got an empty selection, and the thing we want to happen is we're gonna append, and then I guess I want to say the row and column and the letter that's there now. Or should we know the board? Like, yeah, so this is the kind of decisions we're making on sort of a design thing. I mean, if I'm going to ask, is this a neighbor of some other character, like who am I going to ask that? I think I have to ask the board. Yeah, so let's say, okay, we don't need it for this, so I'm going to leave it there for now. But if you said in row 1, column 2, I think if it knew the board, that would be a meaningful thing to say. All right, and then I would want to say, well, I expect selection.count is 1, and the selection.guess should be, well, I got to know what's in that row and column. Okay, so let's connect it. All right, so I'm going to say, let's make it just a 3x3 board. And we can't do everything with 3x3. Well, let's make this one 0. And if it's got A, B, C, D, we expect that to be a C. Okay, so how do we get the A, B, C, D? Well, we're going to have to make a board. Size 2, and the source is... What do we do here? I think I just passed the array, right? Yeah, I can just pass the array. Okay. And the selection is going to need the board. Okay, and he doesn't know that yet. So we're going to have to fix this test too. Okay. Now, the board has to go in. Whoops, into the selection. Okay, and it can do nothing with it. And we need an append. I don't know if append is the right word. Mostly it is. And this is row and column. Okay, so everything, the most basic non-do anything kind of thing. All right, now I think the first test still doesn't care what the board is, so he's okay. Second test will fail, but he's got the right information in place that we can work with it. Okay, so where's the failures? Okay, we expected to have something in there, and we expected it to be the right thing, and it wasn't. All right. So clearly we're going to have to keep track of the board. Okay. And then appending. Well, okay, so what I think we're gonna apply rules, but we just need to track these rows and columns because we know the board they're coming from, so we don't have to put the letters there. Okay, so this is kind of a rough solution, but we're gonna make that row of int column of int. Okay, and that's a named tuple, so it's just two fields, one for each thing. Yeah, I think I have to do that. Okay, so we've got a selection, and our guess is going to have to get fancier, and so is our selection. So let's make this var count of int, and we'll still return 0. So I'm just not changing it per se as far as anybody else is concerned. They access it the same way, but I'm making it a little easier to work with because I have to change around. Okay. All right, and so with those little tweaks, it's still not hurting anything, but we're still not passing. Okay, but I'm just going to append this, and I'm just doing the simple thing here. Row is row, column is column. Okay, so I'm kind of putting the information in place. It needs to be var. Okay. All right. So he's a mutating function. Yes, that makes sense. He saves the row and column. All right, but now guess is wrong. And count is wrong. Count should really be selection.count. So we'll return that. Guess we have to work for a little bit with this structure anyway. So we're going to take the selection. Well, we got an array of rows and columns. We want a string. I'm going to map each letter or each thing in here to a letter. No, a string from the board, and then append them all together. Okay, so so we're going to take selection, and we're going to map row column in. Okay, and then the way to get that string is board sub row column based on what we have. That gives us a array of strings. Okay, and then we want to join them. Can I do just joined? Okay, so take each thing in our selection in order, map the row column into the string that the board has at that point, and then append it. So if we have, the letter A in the first one and B in the second, we're getting those A's and B's out and joining them. Okay. Now I think I expect that to pass. Oh, selection is a let. Okay, that's fair enough. And pass or not, we're out of time for the day. Okay, we get our pass. All right, so I'll take it. We kind of successfully appended. We haven't really verified that. Well, we haven't dealt with the situation. We have rules we haven't dealt with, right? We got this going. If we tried to extend it, we wouldn't have it yet, but we can work on that next, and also out of range to abandon start a new word. So I think our next tests are going to be out of that set of things, and we'll be there. So yeah. Not always time it like this, but it's a good place to stop. So we'll be back tomorrow. It's 2 to 4:30 Eastern Time, or for you all, 6 to 8:30 p.m. UTC. And I'll do a little bit offline. I'll try and get rid of those warnings, and I'll go update my the package John Reed had for us with the default test things. And I think with this selection thing, this is going to be pretty pure TDD style. Once we have these two objects, board and selection, we'll plug them in together and make a UI and see where we can get from there. All right. Well, thanks for joining, everybody, and have a good evening, and hope I see you again tomorrow or some other time. Bye-bye.